everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for today's session on our experiences as exchange students in U.S. State Department-sponsored programs. Today, I'm delighted to have 4 students who are all our former students who were returnees from different U.S. State Department-sponsored programs. In a few seconds, they will be each introducing themselves. I am your moderator today. My name is Sheila Bong. I am a co-founder and VP of Avant Assessment. I come to language learning through a number of different avenues, having studied, first of all, French, and then Japanese, and then followed by Italian. So without further ado, I'd like for each of our participants to please introduce themselves, and we'll start out first with Azima.
Thank you so much, Sheila. It is an absolute honor being a part of the discussion today. And so for my introduction, hi everybody, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Azima Zaidi, and I'm a former yes exchange student to the United States from 2011 to 2012. I was placed in Eugene, Oregon, and I went to Oak Hill High School. And currently I am working at UNDP Islamabad as a social inclusion officer. The language that I learned before going to the United States on the exchange program was English. But just a little brief, overview of English language and the, status of English language in Pakistan. So basically, it is sort of expected for every child to undergo an educational system in English language once he or she, proceeds with his primary education. So when I applied for the YES program, I had a very good grip over English language. So I think it is very important since English itself is an international language, so you need to know this. So thank you.
Thank you, Azima. Kana.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Kana Hammon. I'm currently a second-year MBA student at Stanford University in the Bay Area, and I was a 2007 NSLI youth exchange student for 1 summer in Cairo, Egypt. So I stayed with the host family there and then attended Arabic language school. In addition to Arabic, which I was able to continue studying in college when I got back, I also did Japanese immersion for elementary school and studied Spanish in high school.
Thank you, Kana. Negina.
Hi, everyone. My name is Negina Pirzad, and I'm from Oregon. And similar to Kana, I did NSLI-Y youth in Marrakesh, Morocco in 2011 to 2012. So it was the year program where I learned Fusha Arabic and also took classes in Darija, so the Moroccan Arabic. I continued studying Arabic in college and did it as my minor over at the University of Oregon. And I also studied French at the same time and continued those studies from high school. I now live in Portland, Oregon, and I work in public relations and do digital marketing.
Thank you, Negina. James.
Sheila, really excited for the opportunity to speak at this event. My name is James Daly, and in the summer of 2013, I participated in the NSLI-Y in Chengdu, China. And I'm currently a consultant at PK in the Pacific Northwest.
Well, thank you all. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. And now what I'd like to do is ask a few questions. We'll just continue in the same order. Could you share why you decided to apply to your program and what the program was like? Azima.
All right. Thank you so much, Sheila, for the question. So why did I apply for the program? That's a very interesting question. So I know that you know this by now, Sheila, because I spent a year with you there. I am a very adventurous person. I mean, I like doing things that no one else has done, like especially in my friend circle or in my family. So I have a really close family friend here in Islamabad, and she sort of just told me about the YES program because she knew me. She's like, Azima, you're so adventurous. You want to do things, you want to travel, and you love getting to know people and interacting with people from different cultures. So this is the YES program. She told me the details of the program. And I remember I was outside and I was so excited. I literally came home and I searched the YES program online and I applied the next day because I did not want to miss the deadline. And so I applied for the program and I was so very excited. And so when I did, it was a very thorough process. And there was an interview, and of course, like there were a lot of tests in English and all of those things. So I made it to, there were actually 108 students from Pakistan that year who got selected for the YES program. And I was one of those students, and I was over the moon because I really, really wanted to travel to the United States, because the United States is one of my favorite countries to be, actually. So I was so excited. And then I told my parents, I'm like, hey guys, I'm going back. I'm just going to the United States. And they're like, okay, well, have fun. Take care. And so, yes, that's how I started with the journey. And YES program has been absolutely amazing. Like since the day I landed in the US till present. It has been so incredible getting to know all of you, the opportunities that I got along the way. Everything has made such a big impact on who I am today as a person. And I'm so incredibly thankful to everybody, who helped me through this journey. And yeah, so I just really hope I could, if I had a button, I could just go back in time if I could. So, thank you.
I think we all feel that way from our experiences.
Yeah.
Kana, same question.
So for me, just like Azima, I'm pretty adventuresome as well, but I knew that I wanted to do an exchange program probably since I was about 6 or 7 years old, and saw that my cousins were doing AFS programs. One went to Chile, one went to Italy, one went to Norway, and then we knew Sheila was a family friend of ours, and so she told us about her exchange program when we would drive back and forth to school. So I thought it wasn't a matter of if, but when, and how many programs could I do, and whether I could do a program in high school as well as choosing a university that would allow me to study abroad too. So I thought that maybe I would do a year program somewhere. It didn't quite work out timing-wise because I wanted to continue doing sports, and I really liked my high school and my classmates. So when I heard about the Egypt summer program, I thought that would be a perfect opportunity to continue on with the things that matter to me at home and also have this experience as an exchange student. So submitted my application. I really didn't think I would get in. I knew it would probably be very competitive, and I had never studied Arabic, so I wasn't sure what kind of chance I had. But then when they called and I got in, I was so excited. But that's when I started to feel like, oh my gosh, this is real. What am I getting myself into? But it was absolutely one of the most incredible experiences of my life. Everybody says your exchange program changes your life. I thought that was kind of silly, hearing it. Like, what could be so incredible about going to live in another country for 6 weeks? But it literally just shaped how I thought about people in different cultures. Felt so much more confidence in myself to be outgoing and adventuresome and feel at home anywhere in the world. And now I have another family across the world who I've kept in touch with. I went to visit them a couple of years ago, and I always know that I have a second home there with them. So I couldn't be more supportive of programs like this.
Thank you, Kana. Negina.
Yeah, so I decided to apply for NSLI after I decided that I was going to stay in town for university, so going to the university in the same town as my high school. And I knew I needed to do a gap year in between then, or else it would have been too much. And my parents I come from a very traditional family. My parents are from Afghanistan. So first generation, and so they were not okay with me traveling by myself or with friends, and they only wanted me to go if it had an educational aspect, and they loved the idea of going with another group of students. And coming from like the national security angle too, they were super excited about that. They're like, yes, this will be safe. So this was the only program they're okay with me applying to. And I was very excited about the critical languages. I've always been very into language learning. I speak Farsi at home and was studying French in school. And I was really excited about Arabic because there's a lot of overlap with Farsi. And I was also wanting to learn more about religion and Islam. So I thought that was perfect. And Marrakesh and going to Morocco sounded great. It wasn't the only country that was the option, so I was excited to get that in the end. It was the first time I left the country. It was the first time I traveled by myself. So it was a really big leap. I was 17 years old, and I was like, okay, I'm going to leave the US for the first time with people I don't know. But it worked out, and Sheila was a part of the pair who interviewed me for the scholarship. So that was really nice to meet you, Sheila. And it was just an awesome experience. My family was absolutely amazing. I still talk to a lot of them. I visited them a couple years ago too, and we are in touch and try to go back for people's weddings and babies and things like that. So it feels like I have 4 new sisters and a brother and another mom and dad who always check in on me. Yeah, and studying Arabic was just really, really fun in that setting because we learned the classical Arabic and then also the local language, and we saw the difference that there is, especially with Moroccan Arabic. It's so far from traditional Arabic. So just learning about the culture was amazing, and practicing in person, going to the souks and like bargaining and pretending like you're a local. I tried to go as far as I could without people asking where I was from. So I was pretty proud of that. And we would try to dress like locals. We'd wear hijabs. We'd wear the jalaba outfits and things. And we just fully immersed ourselves because we fell in love with the culture.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Negina. Now, James, how about you?
Yeah, why did I apply to NSLI-Y? I wanted to continue developing my language skills. The year before, I studied independently in Spain, and I wanted to continue building my language abilities and also challenge myself. To be completely honest, it was another opportunity to travel, and so I jumped at it. I found that the program was rigorous. We did over 120 hours of language intensive courses over a period of a month and a half. It was culturally rich. We had access to cultural instruction that perhaps we wouldn't have if it wasn't through the State Department. And it was rewarding. I was able to achieve proficiency in Chinese that helped me get credits when I went to Lewis and Clark College the following year. And I would say that aside from all of the late nights that I had with other exchange students talking about our different cultures, we just enjoyed each other's company and enjoyed being in a completely different environment than that from our homes.
Thank you. Now, I have another question for you. How has your experience and the language you learned influenced your life? Azima, we'll start with you. Oops, you're on mute.
Is it okay now? Sorry. Okay. So I would say that English language has really influenced me in a lot of ways because, like I've mentioned earlier as well, that English is an international language. So wherever you go, you're interacting with people, and so they expect you to to understand, and it helps you to connect with people in a better way. So yeah, it did. And before I actually applied for the YES program, I was very active in my community here as well. So we used to do a lot of community service projects here, and so we actually conducted a community service here in Islamabad where we taught a group of elementary going students about English language and the importance of the language. So, so the exposure that you get is so vast that it helps you, do so many things in life later on. And so I think that is one of the reasons why I chose the YES program, because I thought that I'm good at this. I mean, of course, I'm still learning, but I was like, yes, I should do it, and I should, continue to explore my potential. So when I was in the YES program, it helped me a lot to interact with people, with my schoolmates, with my community, and with my host family as well. And then once I came back to Pakistan, so I introduced all those ideas that I learned there and tried to implement them here in my community in Pakistan. So, and also in terms of my academics, English language helped me a lot because when I came back from the United States, I pursued social sciences, and I grew more interested in, studying international relations and how, the government works, how the countries work, how their relations are shaped and all of those things. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I'm here where I'm today. because I wanted to work in an organization that would help, shape my potential and would make me into a future leader.
Thank you. Kana.
So there are so many ways that my exchange program influenced my life, but I think one of the biggest ways that has really stuck with me for the past 13 years is being comfortable navigating a new culture, and specifically being comfortable navigating difference. I grew up in a small college town. A lot of people had similar backgrounds. I never had a chance to live even in any other city. And so, moving entirely across the world, living with a family, living in a culture that was in some ways so different from my own very progressive college town culture that I grew up in. And knowing that I could feel at home there made me feel like no matter what the cultural difference was, I could find ways to connect with people and help other people connect too. Before I left, people said all kinds of awful things. They said, "Oh, is it even safe there?" Or like, "Oh, don't get shot." And people had similar questions when they came back. And I felt like I could be, they talk about you being a cultural ambassador. And so I could play that role for the community in Egypt that I had gotten to know, but also before business school, I worked in the social justice space. And so I feel like I get to use that same skill to help other people better understand diversity and inclusion and understand all the different cultures that we have here in the US. And I don't think I would have been able to do that as effectively if I hadn't had that hands-on experience and such a positive and loving experience with my host family through the program.
Thank you. Negina.
I agree. I think my experience has affected me so much. It's affected me in so many different ways, from school to work to relationships and all of that. So with school, it influenced what I studied. I really wanted to do a deeper dive on language and just cross-cultural communication since then. So I studied journalism and international relations with a focus on the Middle East and North Africa, and a minor in Arabic. And I wanted to keep going. I was so heartbroken to leave the program. So I wanted it to keep happening. And I tried to get more involved with NSLI-Y and helping with some interviews for future students. I worked at the Language Center on campus all 4 years that offer critical languages for students at the U of O. And that was super fun, working with international students who came to study at the U of O as well. And we get a lot of students from Arabic-speaking countries. And that was great. I would just spend my working hours practicing my Arabic. It was a good time. And since then, after college, I did some contract work to help create resources for refugees in Europe. And so that was like all these doors just opened up because of my interest in the people from Arabic-speaking countries and from Muslim countries. I think it made me, like Kana said, it just opened up my world and awareness of other cultures, and cultures that are super close to mine, but I just never had exposure to it. So that was just a different way to see like the immigration process, refugee process, hearing from people who are like going through that process. So all of that, overall, I think it just made me more comfortable and like confirmed with what I want to do and who I am too. I think I became more comfortable to talk about myself and my beliefs and my interests. And before that, I didn't really do that because I didn't feel like people were interested or other people were like me and cared and things like that. So, but when you go abroad and you're a part of this type of program, you're constantly talking about yourself while you're learning about other people, and you have to share what you're interested in and, kind of give people a synopsis of your life for them to get to know you. So it was the first time that I think I felt super comfortable in my own skin while I was learning about other people. And I feel like it's changed my personality. for good. My handwriting is different because of Arabic. So it's really affected me.
Thank you, Negina. James.
The experience continues to influence me even to this day. Professionally, I was a step ahead when I started college. Like I mentioned before, I was able to receive credits for the time spent studying in China, and I subsequently received a degree in foreign languages in Mandarin and Spanish from Lewis and Clark College. I now work on global teams with multinational corporations and use my language skills daily. On a personal level, I'm still in contact with my host family, and I have so many more sports teams to root for now.
Thank you. So I know we could all go on forever talking about our experiences and how they've affected and impacted everything we do in our lives. I think in closing, I'd like to ask each of you to share your favorite phrase in the language that you learned while you were studying abroad. Azima?
So I'll go first. So my favorite phrase in English language is "every cloud has a silver lining," and it sort of relates very closely to my life because I mean everybody has challenges in their life, right? So similarly, I also had a lot of challenges in my life, and I still do. But I think it's the best thing is in order for you to progress, it is good to see the silver lining in everything. Like it's like a metaphor of optimism. You just need to be positive in your life, and when you're positive, you can sort of transform that positivity into others around you, and that really helps you to move on in life, I think.
Thank you. Kana?
My favorite phrase in Egyptian Arabic is yalla, which means essentially let's go. The funny part of it is that it doesn't always mean let's go right now. So I had so much fun trying to navigate the time frame difference there. But I think it represents so much of my experience because I really had to say, let's go and say yes and be really open-minded and ready for the adventure. Even if, the person I was before I went to Egypt may not have been as eager and excited to just go along with whatever my host family had planned. So for me, it describes the same kind of mindset orientation that Negina was talking about and reminds me of just how saying yes and going for it was the most rewarding thing that I've done in my life.
Thank you. Negina?
My favorite saying is also known in many other languages. I'm sure, Azima, I'm sure you know it too. Inshallah is the saying. And I love it because I think it's also a symbol of optimism and talking about the future. And it can also be used, though, when you don't want to do things or you don't want to go somewhere and you're just like, inshallah, we'll see what happens. So it's all about kismet. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I don't need to give you a straight answer, that type of mentality. I love it. And I've never heard it used as we did in Morocco. And it's used so often. I'm sure you heard it in Egypt, too. And it just became such a funny saying because you can literally answer inshallah to any question and it works.
Thank you. James?
The expression that comes to mind for me is how chur. Literally translated, that means good eat, but it means something more like delicious. And ever since I studied abroad in China, I have had an affinity for Sichuan food specifically because that was the region that I lived in. And it was hard to say that expression at first with a mouthful of Sichuan peppercorns, but little by little, I built a tolerance and got stronger. And I use it not only for food, but also for life experiences. I think it's good to take a big bite.
Well, thank you. Thank you all so much for sharing your experiences. I think that each and every one of us have reason to be thankful for the experiences that we had and the kinds of programs that are offered by the U.S. State Department. And I think we would all encourage others to apply. So if you had any advice at all to students who are thinking about applying, do you have any special words of advice?
Yeah, so Sheila, I would say that, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I would say just go for it. That's the only thing I want to tell people. If you are thinking of applying to a program or to a scholarship abroad, please do. I mean, you should not waste any time because it is literally going to change your life for good. It is going to make you a better person. It's going to refine your personality in so many ways. And the doors, like Negina just mentioned, the doors that it opens for you, they're just so massive that, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I'm so excited right now. You just go for it, okay? Because it's just going to really help you out, help make, it's going to make you make connections with people, connect with people, and it's just going to broaden your horizons for sure. So go for it. Yeah.
I have similar advice to Azima. You have to do it. So many of us, even my friends who are not on this call, have the similar experience where they think that this was the best thing that they've ever done. Embrace the discomfort. Go after something that might sound a little bit scary. Say yalla and just say yes to the opportunity because it will change your life.
Negina.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've led a study abroad program group with students, not in a State Department program scholarship, a different type, for students who have never traveled abroad before and are low income and can't afford it. And so this scholarship is for those people. And I think that it has changed their lives because it just put them out of their comfort zone. And that's what it did for me too. And so whether it is because you are driven to learn this language or professionally or educationally, like whether those are not like a factor for you, still go for it, because just the experience of like going somewhere new is life-changing, and you build this resilience that you wouldn't when you're just living at home. And I think it's good to learn that struggle of learning a new culture. Overall, what Azima and Kana have said, I think you should go for it, and go for it like full force. Don't go halfway, go full force.
James.
I echo everybody that's spoken before me. Send it. I was a little hesitant, admittedly, to go, and I got encouragement from my family and friends, and I don't know where I would be without having that experience now.
Well, I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight, and I am certain that there will be a lot of discussion after people see this session, and I wish you all well in your futures in whatever you decide to do, and hope that language and culture and all that you've gained from your programs will continue to influence you and help you throughout. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see each other again soon, I'm sure. Good night.
Thank you so much, Sheila.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.